Oh my, what a day it was for teams in the Powerhouse Sports coverage area. The Jackson Aggies, the Hillcrest Evergreen Jaguars, and those TR Miller Lady Tigers handled business today in the state semifinal, and now they're headed to the state championship. We're here to break it all down right here, right now on Powerhouse Sports. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Detroit Web, I'm Michael Floyd, and thank you for watching Powerhouse Sports as we break down all of the great action that happened today in Birmingham, Alabama, at Legacy Arena in the state semifinals for Class 3A and 4A for three teams in our coverage area. The Jackson Aggies just got the win over DAR, D-A-R. Oh, that's the wrong PDF. DAR 71-61. The Hillcrest Evergreen Jaguars got the victory over Geraldine today, 62-49. And the TR Miller Tigers got the win over Anniston, 33-28. Those three teams in the Powerhouse Sports coverage area. Two teams on Highway 31, where most of you might be watching from. Like, share, comment, represent your schools. Tell people we're on the air to break down all the great action that happened today. And Detroit, let's start right there in Evergreen, Alabama. The Hillcrest Jaguars, back-to-back appearances to the Final Four. This time, they're going to the state championship.
Yeah, man, I tell you, what a big accomplishment for Coach Pinckney and the Jags. Man, I was so happy to see them get that win today. And they'll be playing that championship game against Midfield, a team I think that put them out last year. So I know Coach Pinckney's wanting to get that lick back, as he says. They got a great opportunity on Friday. But I'm going to tell you, man, Robert Simpson, 17 points, 11 boards today. The guy was just a phenomenal day during that game against Geraldine. And Jordan Bonner hit some big threes. I thought opened up the game for Hillcrest too. I think we like to shoot a little better from the free throw line. I know Coach Pinckney will address that. You probably shoot a little better from the free throw line. You probably win that game a lot more than what it was. But nonetheless, I mean Hillcrest come out and played really great today. Didn't see many flaws in their game. They were in sync. I mean, the whole team. You could tell the guys are ready to go from start to finish. And give props to Geraldine. They're a very good basketball team. You look at them across the board, they don't have all the athletes like Hillcrest does, but they're always in place. Their attention to detail, and they were a good basketball team. Hillcrest beat another good basketball team today, just like they did last week when they beat a really good Cottage Hill team. So Hillcrest has been on a path here, man, and I think they're really looking to get in that championship game Friday and take care of business against a really good midfield team.
And Detroit, I want you to talk about, because you cover Hillcrest, and let me put this on the screen. There we go. You cover Hillcrest, Detroit. How big is this for the community of Evergreen, Alabama?
Oh, it's huge, man. It's huge. And I think the whole Connecticut County, the whole community there, I think most of those will be up in Birmingham on Friday. And if you're not, I would encourage all of you guys to go. I won't be able to make it because of work and all, but I'll definitely be keeping up with it. But, man, it's just huge. It's huge for Connecticut County. And Hillcrest had that chance back in 2018, and Kobe Bradley just went off in that game, and Plainview ended up hitting the last-second shot to beat Hillcrest for the title. And I just know Hillcrest, they're ready to get back in there and get another opportunity at it, and to put another state championship under that belt of that school. It'll mean the world to Connecticut County, though. I know all the fans have been supporting it really good. I think I've seen Sparta, they're behind Hillcrest. Vice versa, same way when Sparta was in there, Hillcrest is pulling for them. So it's huge, man. I'll go back to that 2017 championship year in football. You have to relate back to football. When Hillcrest won that championship, that community pulled together as best as I've ever seen it since I've been in Connecticut County. And I think it has that same opportunity on Friday. I just want the fans, if you got nothing to do Friday, just go up there and support those guys. And hopefully they can go out there and get a big win Friday against Midfield.
And you already said the Hillcrest Evergreen Jaguars defeated Geraldine 62-49. Their next game is against Midfield in the state championship on Friday, March 1st, at I believe 1:30 at Legacy Arena. But let's break this game down. Let's go into the details. Trey Simpson led all scores this afternoon with 17 points. He led Hillcrest and Geraldine 17 points. 17 had 17 points. Let's see if I can find it. 5 blocks, 4 steals, and total rebound. And he had 11 rebounds. So he had a double. He's the one that had a double double. He had a double double today.
Yes.
That was Trey Simpson, number 0. Next to him was the second leader scorer between Hillcrest and Geraldine was Jamonte Stallworth, number 2, 16 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists, and 2 steals. 2 steals. Hillcrest overall shot, let's see if I can find this. Here we go. Shot 41% from the field, 33% from the 3, 54% from the free throw line. Detroit, you called that Cottage Hill game, and I'm pretty sure you watched the game today as well. What difference did you see today with the Jaguars?
Well, they're just, not so much of a big difference. They're just Hillcrest never went away. I mean, you go back and look at that Cottage Hill game when they got down by 7 going into the fourth period. I told Pastor Jackson, I said, this may be a deep run that we don't need that Cottage Hill was going to make. But one thing I noticed about this Hillcrest team, they don't quit. And there's been times this year where they've been down in some games. But, for Cottage Hill, Cottage Hill is a really good basketball team. And to get down 7 by them going into the fourth period, Hillcrest deep, man.
And while we wait for Detroit to come back, as he was saying, the Jaguars, to me, I watched this game here on the NFHS network. Also, by the way, now that Hillcrest, Tiago Jackson are in the state championship, the games will now be on television on Alabama Public Television. So you don't have to have the NFHS network. So if you don't go, it will be on actual cable. That's will be, I think, the local PBS channel. So whether you have Dish or Direct TV, the games will be on Alabama Public Television or the PBS station as Detroit joins us. Hillcrest kind of led in that game wire from wire. Things got close there, but they were able to extend their lead. And really, I think everything Geraldine threw at Hillcrest today, I mean, they were ready. They responded. I mean, off the top of my head, I don't know them by name, I don't know them by number, but there was one kid in the paint for Hillcrest just swatting away everything Geraldine put up and rebounding everything Geraldine put up. It was just so phenomenal, and that could have been 6 because he had 11 rebounds.
Yeah,
I mean, just one heck of a game on the offensive and defensive glass for Hillcrest. Detroit, obviously, this is a team that is very capable of winning it all. A midfield team that waits for them in the state championship game. Detroit, what are your final thoughts on this game, or your final thoughts on this team as a whole?
Well, I just want to say, kind of where I got cut out there. Hillcrest is so
Yeah, go
deep,
ahead.
man. They play 10 guys. They got a second set of 5, that gives a rest. So probably a little smaller group, but they play really well and really fast. This is probably the deepest I've seen Hillcrest across the board, as deep as they are in a long time. And I look for these guys to go in. They'll be competitive on Friday. I mean, as I said, this is a team that put them out last year. So they're looking for a little revenge. I think Coach Pinckney and I think most of the guys want this game. And they said they would be back here after they lost last year. And here they are. They're getting an opportunity on Friday, and I feel really good about it. If they'll just come out and just keep playing like they have been playing as a team. And, Jamonte Stallworth is as good as anybody, man. When, Monte, he's not, he may not always come out and I guess what I want to say here, not say he'll come out and show out, but like when you need him, that guy, he knows how to get to the basket, man. And it's just so hard to defend. And if Monte's not hurting you, then you got Simpson. I mean, you got Jordan Bonner. and it's just it opens up so much for Jermonte to do too. It's just Hillcrest is hard to defend, man. They got so much talent and so many good athletes. They're long, they're physical, they're fast. I mean, man, they're hard to defend. They're really hard to defend, Floyd.
If you're watching, like, share, comment. There's 32 people watching. Represent your schools in the comments. Let us know who you're supporting. Let us know if your team is still playing, whether it's a semifinal. I know there's some classification that haven't started their semifinals yet, or if they're in the state championship game. Represent your schools. We want to know who's watching tonight. Hillcrest, we're talking about Hillcrest right now. After this, we'll be talking about Jackson, and then we'll wrap up with the TR Miller Lady Tigers. But Detroit, this is, like I said, I think I agree with everything you just said. I think this is a great Hillcrest team that is very capable of doing it, of winning the whole darn thing. And I will say this: I was watching it on TV. Hillcrest took the pep band today. You heard them through the TV. You heard those fans. But there was one break that the TV went to. Then when they came back, they caught the PA announcer saying, "Hillcrest fans, make some noise," and it was just loud. And I'm like, Hillcrest, they support, they traveled, they did a great job, and I'm pretty sure they'll turn out the city once again on Friday, for there will be a state championship on the line. Hillcrest defeats Geraldine 62-49 in Birmingham, Alabama. Let's go on over to this
Hey,
Jackson
Floyd,
game. Go ahead, Detroit.
I'm gonna tell you something. You know, if I'm the TR Miller and Hillcrest fans, I'm probably gonna get there earlier. And hey,
Right,
Hillcrest fans, right before Miller, stay after the game, support the girls, the Miller girls. I mean, make it loud in there. And if TR Miller can't
right.
get there early, support Hillcrest.
Support them both, and I will get on the soapbox about that later. But yes, both teams are very capable of seeing each other and rooting for each other. Rivalry aside, this is pretty big for both schools, both schools. Jackson defeated Dar. I have no idea what DAR stands for, but Dar Jackson defeated them 71-61. Just ended probably about 10 minutes ago. That game just ended, so these stats are fresh off the press. Let's see. Landon, nope, my bad. Sorry. Micah Castor was the leading scorer for Jackson with 22 points. So he had 22 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 3 blocks, 2 steals. What a great day for him. Number 2 for Jackson, Micah Castor. The second leading scorer was William Taylor, number 11, who had 16 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals. Jackson, as a team, shot 48% from the field, 33% from the three, and 78% from the free throw line. Impressive day for the Jackson Aggies, who are still in that hunt for that state championship. Detroit, these Jackson kids, I know Andrew has kind of said it before. These Some of their basketball kids are the same ones that play football, and I think the same case can be said for Hillcrest too. Some of those kids play football. How I don't say how crazy, but it really is crazy. How crazy is it to see these athletes not only dominate on the football field, but also on the court as well?
Hey, in the words of Coach Martin, come see me. It's crazy, man. I tell you, Jackson, you know, you look at them, man, they are just a freak of nature. Looking at them, they're long, they defend really well. And like you said, I mean, to be where they went in football and have all the talent they have in football, man, their basketball team is just right there with them. I mean, a lot of those guys you
Right,
said play both sports. And I'm going to tell you something, man. Jackson is good as I've seen in a long time. And, you know, they started off a little slow tonight against a really good DAR team. You know, I watched a little bit of DAR last game they played in to go on and play Jackson. I thought this team being a little quick could give Jackson some problems, but Jackson was just too physical on the inside, and they were able
right.
to get some rebounds, and DAR just wasn't able to just keep up with their size and athleticism. But, you know, I think Jackson, they're another team, you know, they're kind of they're in our area, you know, not
Right.
far from where I live at all, anyhow. But I really look for them to have a big outing on Friday night, and it's a huge win for Coach. I say Coach Martin. He's not the head coach, but you know I know Jimmy real well. Got to meet him when I went over there and covered the Jackson and Luger game. Super nice guy, and the hospitality over there was great from the Jackson people. But yeah, man, it's cool to see those guys come from being dominant in football, and then come over here and do the same thing on the hardwood. It's really awesome.
Jackson got the 71-61 win over DAR. The next opponent for Jackson, I believe, I'm pretty sure, it's the American Christian Patriots out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama. ACA, as some people call them. That is Jackson's next opponent. That game will also be Friday. Later in the day, I think that game is slated for roughly 6:30. Which will be after the TR Miller game, which we will get to after this game right here. So if you watch the TR Miller share, we're going to get there, I promise. But Jackson, I want to highlight Jackson's defense. Jackson held DAR to 36% from the field, held them to 34% from the three, and DAR was 75% from the free throw line. So when you put them at the line, basically they made their shots. Detroit, we've seen it, I've seen it in a lot of games, and you even see it on the college level. There are teams that are put at the line because they're fouled, but they don't come through on the free throw line. How important is it to make those free throws when you're at the free throw line?
Oh man, it's huge. When you get to this level, when you play good teams like this, a lot of the games is won at the free throw line. I remember, back in 2018, Hillcrest, we didn't shoot very good the first half against Plainview at the free throw line. And Plainview hit everything for the free throw line. And I remember Coach Bradley, he had a big second half and was able to get us back in that game going to overtime. But I've always said, man, free throws in these type of games, you're going to go to the line. And, you got to hit them. I mean, they're huge. In a game like this right here, I mean, you've seen tonight, with Jackson, they were able to hit some free throws to kind of stretch that lead on up. But, could go both ways. If you miss them, you give an opportunity for another team to get back in the game. So I think, free throws win you ball games in these big games,
Right.
like, especially when you get to the Final Four in these tournament games like this. You've got to be able to hit from that free throw line. I mean, it's free. You got to take an opportunity. I mean, you got to have it. It's huge.
Jackson takes on American Christian Academy on Friday. And someone said in the comments right here that Hillcrest did the same thing in 2017 after the football championship. That momentum carried from sport to sport, especially if they play together.
Yes.
So obviously, as I'm being attacked by some night creature,
Hey,
out here. Go ahead.
Don't forget, we got Georgiana too. Another
Georgiana,
team here.
Georgiana
Yes.
here. They play. Do they play tomorrow? Or is it tomorrow or Thursday? Somebody's watching those.
I think it's tomorrow night. It's either tomorrow night.
Tomorrow
I can't remember. Maybe 5:45 tomorrow. They're
I
playing.
will pull it up, but my laptop is prehistoric. It took me 30 minutes to pull up these three stat sheets. Thursday. They play Thursday, Detroit.
Yeah, I think that's it for 5:45 slot, I think. And they're playing a really good Covenant Christian team who's been there the last 2 years. But I'm gonna tell you something, man. You look at Georgiana, they're much like Hillcrest and Jackson, very athletic, long. I mean, they can play, any type of game. If you want to slow it down, they can play a slow game. They really get out and push it if they can because they got some great athletes. And they'll have a great opportunity on Thursday against a really good Covenant Christian team.
And Detroit, but before we get into our last game of the night, TR Miller and Aniston, and folks, please like, share, comment. We're talking about some good stuff here. I have been on this rant or this rage the past 2 days, only Tuesday, and there's plenty more basketball to be played this week. But today and yesterday, you have seen with Jackson, TR Miller, and Hillcrest being the exceptions, you have seen a pretty dominating performance from the schools up north. Like, for example, I don't want to pick on nobody, but I mean, the truth is the truth. Elba being down 41-0 at the half. Today, the Plainview girls just put up 81 points on a Cottage Hill Christian team. You're seeing the North dominate this sport, and Detroit, I know that there are theories of, well, it's not a matter of investing. It's just a matter of, as some loud people walk past me, it's not a matter of investing. It's just a matter of talent or whatever the case may be. What is your stance, if there is a stance on this? Maybe I'm just making this an issue. I mean, you see it in football. In football, the South runs football. I mean, to me, the South runs football, with the exception of Thompson. And yes, to me, Thompson's in the North. It's in Birmingham. Birmingham is considered the North. But but like the South runs football, the North kind of runs that basketball area, and baseball is kind of it can go either way. So have you seen this? Is it just me? What is your thoughts on this?
I kind of feel the same way. I don't know, probably the last 5, 6 years, I've always thought the same thing. Seemed like every time the North would always come out as a champion in a lot of those uh, basketball games, and in the South, the football teams you'd have more of them, and it may be we just because who we cover, what we just see, but there may be more South teams winning than what we think. But it just seems like, to me, it seems like the North has won more when it's come to basketball in the last several years, and that might be because Plainview has been a thorn in the side of us and Hillcrest for a few years, and midfield's always in there. It seemed like midfield and Plainview was always playing there for a while for the championship, and we just and then losing to Plainview that year in the championship in overtime on the last second shot just makes you
Right.
feel like you think about it as a North team, But I think it's fair to say that the North has probably been a little better overall in basketball the last few years, probably from 1 through 7A. I ain't got no numbers in front of me, but just thinking and how I've seen stuff
Right.
seems like
It just feels that way. Yeah, it just feels that way. Like the North has just been dominating the sport of basketball. I mean, I think, and, I'm not going to get on a private school rant. That's not what I'm here to do. But just the discrepancy between the northern schools and the southern schools when it comes to the sport of basketball. And then some say, well, football is more prioritized down here in the South. Yes, that is true. And I know, like for your smaller schools, like for TR Miller, for Hillcrest, for Jackson, your football players in boys basketball, your football players are your basketball players. Like for
yeah,
Georgiana, they're a 1A school. They're the smallest of the smallest. I'm pretty sure their football team is majority of their basketball team too. That's going to happen. But when it comes to basketball, I mean, girls basketball, I mean, I guess you're sharing with volleyball, like these smaller schools, maybe 1A through at least 4A, you have athletes going majority both ways, sometimes three ways: football, basketball, baseball, volleyball, basketball, softball. I mean, it's just like that.
yeah.
So maybe the South doesn't have, I don't know. I don't know. It's just something I see. That's just my soapbox, Detroit. We're going to move on here. But it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the week plays out in this North versus South as I see it.
Well, there's one thing about it. The South showed out the last day and a half with Georgiana and
Yes.
Hillcrest and TR Miller Lady Tigers and Jackson tonight. I think the South's kind of rebounding after this past few days.
And the T.R. Miller Lady Tigers, just like you said, Detroit, the farewell tour, as we've been calling it, continues. The final stop, the state championship. We'll be back to recap the Tigers taking down the Bulldogs 33-28. I'm sorry, my Homer is going to come out, but the man, the myth, the legend has one more game left in him, and that'll be the state championship. The Lady Tigers of T. Art Miller took down the Lady Bulldogs of Anderson today, 33-28. This was a game to where the Tigers were down 18-8 at one point, but came back in the last final minutes of the game, the last quarter of the game. Going at the end of the third quarter, the Tigers had cut it down to three, ran away with it, and ended up winning 33-28 against Anderson. This was an Anderson team that threw, in my opinion, threw everything at T.R. Miller from the get-go. The threes were falling. They were making the plays they had to make. And what a performance for the Bulldogs to start this game. The Tigers went in at halftime, made the adjustments they had to, and then ended up being victorious. Detroit, this is a team, T.R. Miller, this is a team that has already battled or came back from being down by double digits in the Sweet 16 against UMS Wright. They were down 18-2, I believe, at one point in that game against UMS Wright. Today in the state semifinals, they were down 18-8. There has been also Detroit. There has been a trend in these state championship games, going back to my North versus South conversation, where these teams have gone down early and they haven't been able to come back. That wasn't the case today. Detroit, you watched this game. I watched this game. What were your takeaways from this victory for T.R. Miller?
Well, it's just exactly what you said. Just never quit. I mean, I looked at one time. I was watching the game. This game was like 19-6, and it was going close to halftime. And I thought to myself, Miller's going to have to make some adjustments big time here. But you talk about the games they've been down in. How about Coach Jackson? It is right, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway, how about him making a halftime adjustment? And we've seen him do this in other games too. And this might be one of the biggest stories going into the state tournament on Friday. Is Coach Jackson could go out with a state championship under his belt. What a way to go out for a guy who's obviously had just a great career. And this might be, could you look at it and say this might be one of his probably best coaching moments of his whole career? I mean, he's taken this team, man, and they have really went far. I mean, Anston was a good basketball team. They moved the ball really well, had several girls can handle the ball. But, man, just Miller just never quit. This game was like a game of sometimes, Anston got that big run, then Miller got a little run, and Anston got a run. But Coach Jackson, just going to get that halftime adjustment and to come out and get back in that game. And once they got up there, man, it was just to me, it just kind of felt like, Miller, they were just going to win that game going way before the start of the fourth period. I mean, they just made so many adjustments, and you could just tell they were just a whole different ball team from when they started tonight.
And let's go inside this game. Serenity Mitchell led all scores with 11. She had 11 points. 1 rebound, 1 assist, and 1 steal. The next leading scorer, well, technically the next leading scorer, it was they were tied. Bethany Simmons had 6 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and 3 steals. And Jaden Curry also had 6 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 blocks. And Meg Fountain had 7 points. Sorry, I'm very slow at reading the scorecard. 7 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 block. So an all-around day for the Tigers. Number 44, Jaden Curry, came in, accepted the call. The Tigers were getting out-rebounded to start off the game. Coach Jack made that substitute change, put in Jaden Curry, number 44, and she came away with 10 rebounds for the Tigers, 6 offensive rebounds and 4 defensive rebounds. So got in there and dominated the glass. And the scary part about that is Detroit, she is only a freshman. She is only a freshman playing in a big-time game.
That's a good problem to have.
It's a great problem to have.
Yeah.
On the biggest stage there is, she gets subbed in, never played in a state game before, comes in there, she doesn't bend under pressure, she gets the job done. I think she was also the player of the game that's awarded every game by the association for her performance. But she's only a freshman, which means she has 3 more years of development. And by the time her senior comes, she could be like a really good post player, probably one of the best post players in the state, to only be a freshman. T.R. Miller shot 35% from the field, 33% from the 3, and 55% from the free throw line. Detroit also, we talked about this. We talked about the importance of free throws. There were times where T.R. Miller was at the line during this game, came away with 1 free throw. There were times where they came away with no free throws. There were times where they were clutch and came away with both of them. It's very important to make those free throws, especially in games like this that are close, that are on a big stage, to where you give yourself, a cushion to fall on just in case that other team gets on a run. Detroit, you said it, Anderson gets through everything at T.R. Miller. But they didn't bend. They stayed the course. They made the adjustments. They got the job done. They headed to the state championship. And you also alluded to it, Coach Jackson, who has called it as of now. Go back and watch our interview with him on Friday. Great interview with Coach Jack, whose career is done after Friday. So we know, so we think as of right now. Um, but how big would it be to see him out on a high note of winning a state championship? The Tigers play on Friday against Good Hope at 4 o'clock, which is after Hillcrest plays and before Jackson plays. So I don't know if the Jackson folks are going to come and support T.R. Miller, but hopefully the Hillcrest folks can stay after, win or lose their game. They stay after, support T.R. Miller, and hopefully T.R. Miller can get there a little bit early and support Hillcrest. And hopefully both Evergreen and Bruton just send a bunch of people to Birmingham and we can pack that thing out with red and black and white. But Detroit, what else stood out to you from this game between T.R. Miller and Aniston?
Well, just a guard play of T.R. Miller, just get the ball down the court, getting in the right position to get some great shots. Hit a few big threes there, in the second half. And I love their guard play, too, because, man, they play so hard on defense, too. You know, Floyd, I got to get to a charger. Hang on one second. I don't want to go leave you here real quick. I'm having to
You
move
good? You
around. My
good?
service is not good. But anyhow, yeah, it's just Tara Miller's guard play so good. I thought they played really well tonight, the second half, and I think it's going to help them going into Friday's game against a team I watched. Also, Good Hope, another good. They're a pretty good basketball team themselves. I
Good
watched them play a
team.
little bit against Prattville Christian. Yeah, so it's going to be a really good battle on Friday. But one thing about Coach Jack, he knows how to adjust, man. He'll have those girls ready to play Friday.
Right. This is a Good Hope team that defeated. I think the announcer said today that Prattville Christian had won the last three basketball champs. They were like the three-time defending champions, and Good Hope just handled them from start to finish. I mean, Good Hope made a three early. Prattville Christian kind of shot another three, and like the threes were falling like crazy for Good Hope. Hopefully, in my biased opinion, hopefully they shot all the threes they can shoot this tournament. But TR Miller will have their hands full. But I also will say this. Because people recognize Coach Jackson for his tough, hard-nosed, physical, aggressive defense. I don't think Good Hope has seen a defensive team like T.R. Miller. So it'll be interesting to see how T.R. Miller responds to this. And if you look at the opponents, and we can do this with Hillcrest and Jackson too, but if you look at the opponents T.R. Miller has played this season, they played and defeated Daphne. Daphne made it to the Elite Eight. They made it to the Sweet 16. They played Jackson 4 times. Jackson, that was a rematch in the Elite Eight. Hillcrest has already played Kaiser in the regular season. I believe Hillcrest played Jackson in the regular season. Now Jackson is at the Final Four. State championship. Hillcrest at state championship. So all of these teams that we've talked about today, they've had these tough schedules to get them ready for moments like this. And I think that goes to show you how important scheduling is. You see people that question, and huge shout out to Coach Mickles at Andalusia, who puts on a basketball tournament every year. Andalusia is in that tournament. His own team's in that tournament. Hillcrest in that tournament. I believe Georgiana's even in that tournament. Georgiana's playing for a state championship. Andalusia, Sweet 16 appearance. Hillcrest, they're playing for a state championship. So, playing these tough tournaments comes with rewards down the stretch. Now, your team might lose to these 7A schools if they're a 4A program, but in the end, the reward is worth it when you get to the state championship level and you see teams that are physical, but not as probably as physical as those teams you've already played this year. So really interested to see Enterprise. Enterprise in that tournament as well. They're in the Final Four. I think they get underway on Thursday, I believe. So just very interested to see how this unfolds for T.R. Miller, how it unfolds for Hillcrest, how it unfolds for Jackson. A lot of these teams have been battle tested, and they've been battle tested early. So therefore, now they're reaping the benefits of playing those tough games. And I think basketball is that sport to where it's okay to lose these games outside of your region, these tough games, because they get you ready for moments like these. And we will see. We're seeing the risk pay off now with these teams being in the state championships. as we wrap it up here, as Detroit has uh, logged off, I think it's Wi-Fi messed up, but we're gonna wrap it up anyway. But TR, let's go through these scores one more time. Hillcrest Evergreen defeats Geraldine 62-49. Next up for the Jags of Hillcrest is the Midfield Patriots. Jackson defeats Dar 71-61. Next up for the Jackson Aggies is the American Christian Academy Patriots. And T.R. Miller and the T.R. Miller Lady Tigers defeat Anderson 33-28. The next opponent for T.R. Miller is Good Hope. Good Hope, Midfield, American Christian Academy, all great teams, but I don't think they've played teams like T.R. Miller, Jackson, and Hillcrest Evergreen. Folks, we're going to be back Thursday to kind of preview the games that are going to be played on Friday. Hopefully, we can get something worked out to where we probably won't have all the coaches on, but maybe we get some on-campus interviews from some of these coaches. Also, in my area, Auburn High School, they play on Thursday in the 7A Final Four as well. Folks, so these teams have made it to the ultimate level. They are playing in the ultimate game, and that is the state championship. It doesn't get any better than that. If you see these young athletes in town, in the restaurants, wherever you see them, give them a positive and encouraging word. Let them know that they have your support and that their community is behind them. I'm looking forward to seeing the purple and gold, the red and black, and the red and white in Birmingham on Friday. The call to action for all these schools have already been given. Looking forward to see these fan bases turn out Birmingham. Highway 31. Can't wait to see you in Birmingham. I'm Michael Floyd, and this is Powerhouse Sports.